Welcome to ResourceX PBB 101. The purpose of this webinar is to talk about the steps that go into a priority-based budgeting implementation. First, we're going to discuss why you implemented a priority-based budget, what specifically a priority-based budget is, who plays a role in the implementation, and when milestones occur. We'll then jump into each specific step for a little bit more in-depth information. First, why implement a priority-based budget? Priority-based budgeting through ResourceX is a best practice recognized by ICMA, GFOA, and Alliance for Innovation. Priority-based budgeting creates new data and opportunities that will help guide your organization to achieve its goals. PBB is a communication tool, a new way to look at your budget, and a way to prioritize the services you offer. Why use PBB? To help identify your existing services and to assign a cost to those services, and then to link those services or programs to your priorities as an organization. From there, you'll be able to help identify opportunities moving forward. PBB as a decision-making tool utilizes what we call the PBB blueprint. This helps to identify existing programs where there might be new opportunities and to also identify ways to provide resources for new programs. You'll go through the steps with the PBB blueprint to determine whether you have the ability to free up and reallocate resources from existing programs to other programs, and also how to generate new revenue. Some options for how to accomplish this include sourcing, identifying efficiencies, looking at service levels. On the generating new revenue side of things, are there fees that you could charge for the service being provided? Are there grants specific to that service? And then as a last resort, do you need to look at taxes and rates? Once your priority-based budget is implemented, you will receive several resources. We refer to this as our Present PBB. What this does is it gives you a visualization of your budget associated with your priorities. So you will be able to identify those programs or services that are in highest alignment with each priority and how much of your budget has been allocated to those programs. Next, we're going to talk about what is priority-based budgeting. We talk about priority-based budgeting in reference to three questions. What do we do? What does it cost? And why are we in business? What do we do is identified through programs. Each department has gone through an exercise to identify the programs that that department offers to the community or to help the internal organization run. Programs tell the story of your organization. What does it cost? We allocate all of your line items to the programs identified by each department to determine a cost of providing that program. Why are we in business? We identify results specific to each organization that help connect the programs offered to your mission as an organization. To look a little more in depth at each one of these questions, programs help tell your story. This is the first exercise of any PBB implementation, thinking about the programs and services offered by the department to help the organization run efficiently and effectively. Programs are bigger than tasks, and they can serve the community or can be needed internally to run the organization. At ResourceX, we call this community programs or governance programs. Programs help in many ways, some of which are to help create transparency, to aid in discussions on trade-offs, to provide comparisons to other service providers, to help plan for changes in the workforce, and to clarify the context of performance and metrics. The programs answer the question, what do we do? Each department has gone through this exercise to identify those programs that they accomplish. Line items are allocated to each one of those programs. We allocate personnel by percentage of time spent on each program, and operating costs are allocated by dollar amount spent on each program. This information is helpful for decision making and communicating. Some questions that will be answered during this process will be to identify where you spend your time, where staff spends their time, looking at the total cost of a program to determine if it's what you expected or if it looks high, and what program costs compare with the fees and grant funding available. Results are identified for each organization in PBB. These are tied to your strategic plan, business plan, or mission of your organization. We also provide 5 basic program attributes. These help to further describe your programs. The 5 basic program attributes are mandate, reliance, demand, population served, and cost recovery. Each department has gone through and evaluated their list of programs against the appropriate set of results and basic program attributes. Results are specific to each organization. They help to answer the questions, what programs would you want to increase service level to or decrease service level to? Where would you want to allocate new or found resources? Where could you potentially reallocate resources from? And how much of the budget is going towards one specific priority? The basic program attributes help describe the programs in further detail. Are you required to offer the program? Are you the only provider of a specific service? Has there been an increase or decrease in the demand for the service over time? Do you receive any program-specific revenue through fees or grants? And who benefits from the organization offering that specific program? Now let's look at who plays a role in the priority-based budget implementation. You have a team of super users within your organization who have in-depth knowledge of PBB, and you can always look towards your super user team to help you if you have any questions. We have also worked with all of the leaders of your department. They've gone through the allocation process and the scoring process and have knowledge and generated about PBB. We are now calling on more members of your organization to assist with the peer review process to determine be and providing support of the process. The milestones that have already been achieved during this process are listed here. So first, we have your budget data. It is uploaded into our tools so that we can validate the totals and move forward with allocation. Program inventories were created and all of the line items were allocated to those programs. Departments have gone through and scored each individual program against the appropriate set of results and the basic program attributes. Next is peer review, where we identify cross-functional teams from the entire organization to help review and validate those department scores. Following peer review, we will have the model completed, the prioritization set, and opportunities to look at ways to take action on the new data. So now let's jump into more specific information about each step of the process. We'll start with program inventory. What is a program? A program is action-oriented, it's easy to understand, it benefits the community or the organization, It contributes to a location, area, or environment. It requires special resources, and or it provides an end product. Each program will have a name and a description helping to share the purpose of that program. A program is a group of people working together to deliver a service. Now then, let's talk about what a program is not. A program is not a location. It is not a department, an expense, a revenue, a division, or a task. So let's look at some specific examples to help clarify the process of identifying programs. So do you advertise that you offer a service? Curbside recycling pickup. Do you offer the service to a particular group? An example program, a school resource officer. Do you do something that is unique to your organization? We have an organization in Alberta, Canada that has a sheep grazing program. Is someone willing to pay a fee or offer a grant for that service? GIS data requests. Are you mandated to provide this service? An example would be elections. Is there another public or private agency that does something similar? Like social media marketing, where you could look at a partnership opportunity. So once we have that inventory identified and somewhat finalized, we're ready to move into the program costing phase. In program costing, we take the costs from your line item budget and allocate those costs to the program. All of the line items are allocated to programs. We start with personnel, and we allocate personnel by percentage of time spent. So starting with the positions and allocating by percentage of time spent on any one program, we try to allocate in multiples of 5 as a best practice. But if you see any allocations that vary from that 5% allocation, that's okay. Our goal is to determine the most accurate allocation of percentage of time spent. Next, we move to the operating costs. We allocate these expenses by dollar amount to each specific program. When possible, we try to allocate expenses directly to the program they support. Next is program scoring. The first step of program scoring is to connect to the strategic plan. We do this by utilizing the results identified by your organization. Results are at the higher level and are less likely to change over time. These typically are similar to the other organizations within the PBB database, and they are made more unique by the definitions that support these results. So the definitions are going to be more unique and specific to your organization. And when going through the first steps of scoring, when a program achieves a definition, the result, the high-level result, is achieved. We have two sets of results, governance and community. So governance programs are scored against governance results, and community programs are scored against community results. This is your set of community results. You will see you have the high-level result, the supporting description of that result, and then definitions that continue that support of the overall result. You will see within each definition is a specific reference to your strategic plan, the community survey, and the business plan. We utilize these definitions to determine the level of influence a program has on the successful achievement of the overall result. These are your governance results. You see the overall result at the top with the description of that result and the supporting definitions. Again, tied to your community survey, business plan, and strategic plan. Next, we connect to the basic program attributes. Again, these are helpful in describing the program in ways that your strategic plan may not. These are going to be really useful in the decision-making process of PBB. The results that are specific to your organization are weighted heavier in the final prioritization process. So the results from your organization will be weighted 3-to-1 to the basic program attributes. So the basic program attributes of population served, demand, cost recovery, and reliance have a weight of 1. Mandate has a weight of 2, and your results have a weight of 3. Every program is scored against each of the basic program attributes. Here is a more in-depth explanation of each basic program attribute. You will see here that each attribute has a score and a specific definition with each score. Mandate, reliance, cost recovery, demand, and population served. And finally, the peer review step. Peer review is to determine the overall consistency of each result in basic program attributes application. We identify cross-functional teams that are empowered as subject matter experts for each of the results. So each team will be assigned one result. You are then the expert for that result and the definitions associated with that result. The purpose of peer review is to validate the department score or to recommend a change in the overall department score. Recommended changes are based on group consensus from the entire team. You are looking to understand the influence the program has on the successful achievement of your result. Through this process, you will apply consistency and determine the validity of each scored value. So we've gone from department self-assessment, where the departments are the subject matter experts for their programs. It is really important during this department self-assessment that the departments provide adequate descriptions of their programs and comments that validate the reason that they applied a specific score. Then we switch over to the peer review process, where the peer review team becomes the subject matter expert for their result, either validating the department score or recommending a change. The peer review template is displayed below. You will have all of this information available to you during the peer review process. You can look for consistency throughout each one of the scores to determine if it makes sense that all the programs that scored in a specific way are all truly on the same level of influence towards one specific result. You will have the program descriptions for each of the programs to help you to understand what a program is or does. And you will have the department comments that will help you to understand the perspective of the individual department scorer.